Sean, what does this actually mean? Ministry of Defence saying Russian forces have been exhausted. So as far as we're concerned, they basically own Mariupol, except for a group of troops that are hiding out in a power station. So how are they exhausted? What's happening?
There's a lot of an information war, as you're well aware, going on at the moment. I think although Russians have been desperately keen to be able to show some success in this conflict, and they've clearly dominate the whole of the area around Mariupol, but these remaining Ukrainian fighters and some civilians are still left in the centre there. Be very difficult to extract them in reality, but whilst they remain there, they're a thorn in the side of Putin because he can't claim victory. And the other reason is it means he ties up lots of his troops, which at the moment he would rather be feeding north to the main battle that's happening in the Donbass, because on the Donbass you've got a 300-mile front line, which is not the way that normal Western forces would attack it. They would focus their efforts. What seems to be happening is that Russia is pounding, using heavy artillery, the line, looking for weak spots, and then potentially do a big push. But that's the headlines. Behind the headlines, recently, the unattributable sources said there's about 15,000 Russian troops have died. The morale is incredibly low. They're being piling these forces into the battle. And we've not seen a significant breakthrough, although I see this morning that Crimea has fallen. But we're going to see odd little items as the Russians make slow progress. But at the moment, there's nothing decisive happened, and the battle is pretty extreme.
Yeah, look, we were talking about the situation in Mariupol and those steelworks on Thursday when that video emerged from the Ukrainian forces that are holed up there, many of whom are injured, I believe, saying that they thought this was their last hours, if not days. And they're still there, and that is a demonstration, isn't it, of that Ukrainian resistance that's exhausting those Russians. But with Guterres heading to Moscow today, and we're hearing from President Zelenskyy concerned that this could fall into the trap of the Kremlin, and he really needs to focus on the situation in Mariupol. How much of a problem do you think that is? Do you think it could be a distraction?
Well, the problem with Mariupol is that the obvious answer is a bit like the Americans did on the sort of island-hopping campaign to Japan. It's just bypass it. You don't need to extinguish it now. But, of course, actually, you're creating heroes out of the fighters in Mariupol. They are becoming, when history books are written about this campaign, those heroes that are holding out in Mariupol will be the bellwether of the courage, the tenacity, of the character of the Ukrainians. And therefore, they will probably be inspiring the rest of the fighting.
Except, could I ask you, is the cavalry coming?
Well, I'm not Putin, and I'm not based out in the theatre of operation.
No, I meant from the Ukrainian side. Is the cavalry coming?
To come and help them?
Yeah.
I think that would be an extremely difficult cavalry operation. It would be extremely costly to do that. It's very unlikely, I think.
So they're on their own?
I believe so.
And they will fall?
Whether they fall or not, it's another matter. There are a lot of underground catacombs in those steelworks. It will be extremely dangerous and difficult to take those without extremely heavy casualties. So it's a...
But meanwhile, you've got a force in those catacombs that is not replenishing ammunition, food supplies, water supplies, all sorts of things.
But I think that this goes back to they were given an ultimatum by the Russians, surrender or die.
Yeah.
They elected to fight on. The very spirit of a professional army is that it's about service before self. It's about being prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. And the greater good here, from a Ukrainian perspective, is buying time for their colleagues fighting in the north.